Hello and welcome to episode 3 of Community Closeups, a video series highlighting the unique and talented individuals in our community. David, how are you?
Doing well, Bo. How are you?
Oh, not too bad. Pretty exhausted from last week.
Long week at the MVP Summit for all of us, but worth it, I think.
I agree.
So today we've got Darcy Hess. She's an Office Apps and Services MVP. Darcy, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good, good. Thanks for being our guest today. Why don't you start out by telling everybody a little bit about yourself?
So I've been in SharePoint for almost 10 years now. Been MVP for about 2.5 years. When I'm not doing SharePoint, you'll find me at home, preferably with my cat, or at one of the many archery tournaments, or playing music on the side for stress relief.
Now you're in Rhode Island, but you didn't grow up there, right? I think you're a West Coaster by birth.
Yeah, I was born and raised in Las Vegas. SharePoint conference is kind of my hometown, so it's a great time to go home and visit family. And lived in California for a lot of years. Went to college in Southern California. Moved up to the northern part of the state. And then out to Rhode Island about 5 years ago now. So getting a good view of coast to coast interactions.
Yeah. Do you have a preference that you like one over the other?
My East Coast friends might dislike me for this, but I think I prefer the West Coast.
I would agree with that. The East Coast feels all busy. And when I moved out west, it was a little different, different lifestyle.
Yeah, I think overall, like if I had to choose, I think I'd be moving to Sweden, actually. So
that's your favorite place?
It's my favorite place.
Stockholm, right?
I've been to Stockholm, but yeah, just the country in general is just amazing and one of my favorite places to visit.
Is it the food or just the atmosphere?
I've never been to a country that the people were as welcoming as they are. The food is absolutely to die for. It has a very rich history, and it's just beautiful. Overall, it's just an amazing country in general, in my opinion, of course.
There's a SharePoint Saturday coming up in September that David Optendries and Simon are both part of, and I was thinking about trying to go out. I keep trying to talk Bo into it. Are you thinking about going out there too?
I am planning on submitting, yeah.
Yes. I'm totally like interested now that you've labeled it as your favorite, and we have a pretty good relationship with David and Simon. It's pretty enticing.
It is.
Now, you'd said your fictional favorite place you'd most like to visit is Camelot. Is there any, in your mind, like similarities between Camelot and Sweden, maybe?
Besides a lot of open land, probably. I don't think so. I think Camelot, like, it's my own little like utopian universe where there are rules that are made and laws that are for the benefit of everyone, and kind of that universe, everyone gets along, and everyone watches out for each other, and that's something that I sometimes miss in our current society.
Is there a favorite food or location in Sweden that you like, when you go back, you always have to visit?
Well, location, I love the Vasa Museum. It was a very old ship that went down on its maiden voyage, and they were able to resurrect it and bring it back up. And there's an entire museum built around it. And of all places I visited, in Stockholm specifically, it's one of my favorites. That if I go back, like I will always go back and visit that museum. I feel like there's not enough time to learn everything each time you go. So yeah, definitely there.
Yeah. I think that's the amazing thing for us that have grown up here in the States. There's so much history out there outside the States. And for me, so I'm born and raised in Southern California, there is no history, right? I mean, if the earthquakes haven't ruined the buildings, like society is, okay, we need to retrofit. So even going to New York is amazing, but going overseas, I could imagine, is just almost mind-boggling.
Yes, absolutely. Places like Gamlestan and older parts of Stockholm that you have the palace and you have the parliament and a lot of the old cobblestone streets. That's things that we just don't have even here in New England. And he made an appearance.
All right, so we've got Smokey joining us. right? That's his name. There he is. He's got that angry cat. I think we were talking about that yesterday. He's got that angry cat kind of look, but he's all cuddles, right?
Oh yeah, he is.
Cool. So you do a lot with archery as well. You had mentioned that in your intro. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I've been an archer for a little over 20 years, professionally for about the last 8 to 10 years. I was an Olympic alternate for the London Olympics. I've been on several World Championships teams, Pan American teams, and United States national teams. And we're getting going in another exciting season. I just shot a brand new state record for Rhode Island this past weekend for indoors, so that was kind of exciting. And heading to Arizona next weekend to start off the first outdoor national tournaments of the year.
That's cool. So I'm just going to say right now, Bo and I have dibs. If and when the SharePoint Hunger Games start, we're on your team.
Well, you do realize that the ideal of the Hunger Games is eventually I just win and kill you both, but you know, hopefully we can.
I'm just buying time, DRC. I'm just buying time.
I think we'll go for zombie apocalypse. I think that was a little super one for all of us.
So with all the traveling, do you know how many countries you visited?
Ooh. I've got most of Europe covered, and I've gone to a couple countries in Asia. Definitely not as many as Joelson. So I've got a ways to go, but I've been to some pretty amazing places and been very, very fortunate.
That's a big cat.
That is a big cat.
So you also play music.
I do.
Are you a multi-instrument player, or do you just stick to?
I have a degree in music education, so I used to teach music, and my primary is clarinet, actually, but these days I mostly perform on harp because people seem to like it a lot more for weddings and, you know, different activities. So yeah, I play 13 instruments total. I'm probably advanced at about 7 or 8 of them. The rest of them I play with just, you know, basic proficiency.
So we're going to start a SharePoint rock band or a classical band.
I think the classical portion could work. I mean, we can pull Spence in on piano. Like, you know, I hear he's, you know, pretty awesome at that.
There you go.
That would be entertaining. Next MVP Summit. So you, in reading through some of your info, you started speaking in the SharePoint realm in Austin, SPS Austin, you had mentioned. So
yeah.
I think, and I don't know if this rings a bell, when I read that about it, I think you and I spoke there, not together, but just right after one another. I think I remember it was like the first event I'd ever spoken at.
And really, I think that small conference room that really wasn't a conference room.
Yeah, with the windows in the back.
Yeah.
Yes. I remember. Yep, I remember going in and I remember seeing you and I was like, okay, I'm next, and we just crossed paths, just like, oh, are you the next speaker? Yeah, oh, nice to meet you. And so when you wrote that, I was like, oh my gosh, I think that was both of ours first. So it's pretty funny.
That is funny. We've come a long way since then.
Yeah.
What made you switch, or not switch? What made you kind of move from the music stuff into SharePoint?
So, like most teaching positions, it changes a little bit every year, and I found out that at the end of every year I would get laid off, and sometimes I would get rehired on the next year. And that year I didn't get rehired on, so I had no position for the next year. And a friend of mine at UC Davis was the director there and said, hey, if you learn SharePoint, I'll give you a job. And I went, what's SharePoint? About 4 months of working in an engineering library on a laptop and a sandbox at that point. I took some of my first certification exams and down the rabbit hole I went. So, and as much as I love music, I love teaching in SharePoint just as much, and it's provided a lot of opportunities over the years.
I got a question for you. So your dream car, you listed as a Ford F-150.
Yes.
So there's got to be a story behind that, right?
Yeah, we go from last call, Heather wants a Bugatti, right? We're a multi-million-dollar car. and DRC is okay with an F-150. What is it about the F-150 that makes it your dream car?
I am a country girl, and I would love to live back on a ranch with horses, animals, and good internet. I know I might have to compromise on the internet. So, but like, I love being able to go off-roading and just drive out in the country. And I'm sorry, but a Bugatti is not going to make it over those rocks. So I want my F-150. I've always wanted one. Unfortunately, I live in a place right now where trying to parallel park that sucker is just not going to work out too well. But, you know, if I ever get a chance to move to the country, that is my ideal car, you know, my ideal car. It is in fact a truck.
So if anyone wants to buy DRC a gift, an F-150 is the perfect gift.
Yes. With a trailer. I don't care about the chrome, and it's got to, you know, at least be, you know, half a ton to a 1 ton pickup, so I can, you know, pull a horse trailer or something with me. Maybe, you know, the new SharePoint home space, you know, kind of, you know, thing. I don't know. Well, I'll call
warrior
it my
horses. Would you be carrying warrior horses with you?
Yes. I mean, they will have the lasers already hooked up, and it will be perfect.
Awesome. Chris will approve. I am just curious. Big Trouble in Little China.
I don't even know what that is.
What?
No.
Oh my gosh. Wow, I'm like super old now.
Really, Bo?
Yeah, I have no idea.
No, it's a toss-up between two movies. Big Trouble in Little China is kind of my all-time favorite movie. It is a movie made in the 1980s with Kurt Russell. So you should have your butt on Amazon or Netflix tonight watching it. Otherwise, I'm going to disown you as a friend.
I just looked it up. Yeah, it came out 3 years before I was born.
Yeah, so we're going to end the conversation right now.
I will watch it. Yeah.
You should. You know, bad 80s cheesy, you know, special effects, you know, weird storylines. Like, it is a perfect quintessential 80s movie.
Yeah, but Kurt Russell's awesome. I mean, he's awesome.
And if you don't know that one, The Red Violin is, you know, coming in a very close second, which is another kind of obscure movie. So.
Red Violin. All right.
Yes.
Two new movies to watch.
I mean, you've seen the other ones from like the 80s. I think they may have been nice, like Princess Bride and Airplane and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, those are the 80s.
That was a question for you.
I've seen Airplane. Yep.
Have you at least watched like Willow and, you know, some of?
No Princess Bride?
No.
Oh my God. Do you like comedies?
Yeah.
Princess Bride is classic. I mean, you've got it. I mean.
Have you ever seen Labyrinth?
What?
Labyrinth?
Nope.
David, we're having
David Bowie, right? Yeah. We're gonna have to fly you out to LA and go like rent a theater for like a day.
If you guys are going to SharePoint conference, we're doing movie night and like forcing you down with a, you know, bucket of popcorn and binge movies for that night.
Any advice that you have for others that have been wanting to either get into SharePoint or kind of start speaking or both?
Yeah, I mean, don't be afraid. One, you will be terrified the first time that you do it.
or the 10th time or the 100th time. I feel like I get the nerves every time I stand up on that stage.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the biggest thing is you don't have to be an expert to start. None of us know everything, and it's okay to let people know that, hey, I don't know the answer to that question. Let me go check with some people and I'll, you know, circle around back with you. You know, the thing I hate the most about some speakers that I've seen is that they feel like they know everything and then they end up giving out bad information. So start small, and it's perfectly okay to do those 101, hey, I figured something out and I want to share it with you kind of cool things.
Yeah, I agree. I think that SharePoint's just too big for any one person to know everything there is about it. And so no one. I always joke if someone says, "I know everything there is to know about SharePoint," it's like run the other way. They're not telling you the truth.
I'd say there's one exception to that, and that would be the MCMs, because they literally do know everything about SharePoint.
True.
On that similar topic, what kind of what encourages you to be involved and stay involved in the community of SharePoint and 365 and speaking or training? Kind of why do you wake up every day?
Other
Well,
than
there's some,
Smokey like jumping on you and waking you up, right?
that's the 4:30 living alarm clock. Yeah. Uh, I besides the paycheck, no, I mean, overall, like I just love the people in the community. I've gotten a chance to know some really great people over the years, and those friendships go a long way. And it's a pleasure to see everyone at conferences and kind of continue to see how people have progressed in their careers and in this space. And the good thing about SharePoint is that it is always changing. So there's always new opportunities to continue learning, continue doing great and really cool projects. That and a lot of technologies, they stay stagnant and you wouldn't have that opportunity. So I think it's a mix of, the great people, the great technology, and of course, an ever-changing landscape ahead of us.
Yeah, that seems to be a recurring theme as we do the show. Granted, this is only the third one, but I feel like we always emphasize how rich our community is, well, technically, but also socially, how everyone is fairly outgoing and personable, and it really, what I believe makes this community thrive is just the people really make it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So when you're at these events, there's a question that Bo likes to ask, so I'll go ahead and just let him ask. I don't want to steal his thunder.
You can steal it.
Okay, just this once. So, the reason behind this is to show a lot of the community that we're human and how to start conversations, and it's not just blogs and tweets and, demos. So what would be the perfect conversation starter for you if someone wanted to come up to you and kind of get to know you and meet you at a conference? What do you deem like the perfect topic to bring up?
I mean, I personally specialize more in the branding, information architecture, governance realm of SharePoint, like user adoption. But as long as someone says, "Hey, you," and they ask nicely, I'm happy to talk with them for anything.
Sounds like me. I'll answer to anything. Hey, you. It's perfect.
Well, I mean, if they can pronounce my name, like that's automatically a kickoff that I've probably met them somewhere before. So
That's true. And I'll be the first to admit that I was one of those that was like, "Hey, Darcy." And she was like, "So, do you know how to pronounce my name?" And I remember going, "I don't think so, because you just asked me if I know." So, come a long way.
So that's the perfect icebreaker then. How do you pronounce your name, right?
ERC, like 3 letters.
So one of the things we also like to ask too is, as we have someone on the show, is you're on our show because you inspire us, but also who inspires you, because we would love to get in contact with them too and have them on the show. So is there anyone or a group of people, you could just say, the PNP team or whoever, that inspires you on a daily basis, that other people might also get inspired by?
So, I mean, some of my heroes in the SharePoint space are actually people that work in different areas of the technology than I do. Very much, some of my fellow people with the PNP work, Erwin Van Kunen has been amazing and has been a great mentor to me over time. You guys might have a harder time getting him because he lives in Sweden, so there is a big time difference there. Bessa is obviously amazing. And overall, just some of the product team members, John Sanders has been super helpful over the years, and people like you that I reach out to when I have hardcore dev questions. It's been pretty great.
But Bo is amazing to me because it's like I could be like, "Bo, have you ever worked with the flux capacitor?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, of course, I've done that. I've made time travel." It's such a breadth of information. So I agree with you on that.
So so we've seen a lot. We were just at the summit last week. It was a really great event. Obviously, we can't talk about a lot of stuff there, but
that NDA flag.
Yeah, big NDA. But there are some things that are public, and are there things you are really excited about that Microsoft has on the roadmap?
The 2 things I'm most excited about, I think, are the new as well as the, let's just go with the unified search that's coming out, because that has been announced.
Microsoft Search.
Yeah, Microsoft Search and the unified search throughout all the platforms, I think, is going to be super valuable coming forward.
So do you have any upcoming events that you're working on, or any special projects that you wanted to tell us about?
Sure. So SPC, the SharePoint Conference North America, is coming up. I'm looking forward to attending and hopefully speaking there. So if you're there, please come say hi. I would love to talk to you. And the new design branch of SharePoint P&P has officially released. We started off with a bunch of Axure libraries and some cool new features, planning on expanding to other tools as well. So please, give it a shout out, go try it out. We would love to hear your feedback on it.
Yeah, cool. And we'll include the links for that too in the blog post. They're very, very cool. I got to see them the other day.
And for people who have no idea what that is, can you explain a bit about what's in the entire repo and what people have access to and what it's used for?
Sure. So SharePoint Patterns and Practices is a series of different repos that are available on GitHub to help both developers and now designers gain access to materials to help them be more productive and, to quote Microsoft, achieve more. The design branch specifically currently has a lot of Axure libraries, and Axure is a prototyping and mock-up wireframe tool that different designers use. Currently, the assets in there are wireframes and mockups of all of the first-party web parts that you can literally drag and drop onto your canvases, and what would take you hours before to take care of can now take you minutes. Today, we just released out a library of all 1,502 Office UI Fabric icons.
Which you had to hand parse individually,
right? Hand parsed over several months. So that is now available to you. And the good thing is all of these assets are available to you free of charge. Download them, use them, provide feedback. And if you want to get involved in the community, reach out to me and see how you can help, even donate some of your own assets, or join us in the fight to kind of help everybody get part of the community.
Yeah, very cool. And so these help everybody mock up what's realistic designs for SharePoint, right? And it's modern experience. Yeah. So it's cutting edge, which is awesome.
They're all modern experiences. I've been keeping them up to date as new layouts, new versions, new headers and footers come out, available to you, so that people who aren't designers, maybe they're just regular developers or someone just getting started, can understand what functionality is available already out of the box, and also, be able to use for training purposes to help others understand how all these pieces come together.
Yep, very cool. It helps tell the story to those who maybe aren't familiar with SharePoint, right? To understand how it works, how it looks, etc.
To my developers who've been out there a while, the days of receiving designs from graphic designers who knew nothing about SharePoint hopefully will be over.
That never happens, right? It's like, the worst is when they design it and then they present it to the client before it's vetted, and you got to go back to the client and be like, this isn't possible.
Let's see what we can do to help educate and make that a better experience.
Yeah, so libraries can absolutely help that, so definitely go take a look. So thanks, DRC, for coming on today and introducing yourself on a more personal level to the community. Appreciate it.
Happy to be here. It's always an adventure talking with you guys.
All right, so if you see DRC, then definitely pronounce her name right, and you got a conversation starter.
Got it.
Awesome. Thanks again.
Thanks, guys. Take care.